Right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. We're back this week with another episode because we have managed to pin down a date with Cole Gibbens. Cole, thanks for joining us. How are you? You all right?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm struggling to understand the accent a little bit, but we're all good.
We're
I
not
know,
that
we'll have to talk.
bad.
But we've just said now before we come on we spoke before because I messed you a couple of times because we'll get on to the start of the year you've had a bit of bad luck, not away from running with the car getting broken into and something else as well, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
before London, we spoke about getting this podcast sorted, and obviously your life has been mayhem since London. But we'll get all the way through to London now. But like we do with all our guests, we usually throw it back to school. And were you sporty in school? Would you do any sports? Where did running come into it? What was school like on
Yes,
sport?
I mean, I always kind of hated school. Didn't really fit in too well. I wasn't always on the end of ridicule, but I was, I don't know, bullied a little bit at school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sport was one thing that I did enjoy. I was never really naturally good at anything particularly. I never made like the school football teams or anything like that. I never really I was never a big kid, so I never really enjoyed things like rugby. I'd always run in front of the ball, so no one could pass it to me. And then yeah, when I kind of found running, kind of fell into it accidentally. Really, my primary school, Reculver Primary School in just down the road from me, they were holding these kind of trials for like a cross country relay team, and they already had two year sixes who were proper good runners actually for the team, and they needed a third leg. So basically, they held the trials, and I was in year five at the time, and I somehow won the trials with no training whatsoever. So I ended up being the anchor leg for this relay team, and the first two runners they got a massive lead, and then it ended up that I had to just basically hold on for dear life. But that was the first race I ever did, and I won. Well, I won as part of the team. And then kind of carried on from there, really. So then when I joined kind of secondary school, I carried on running. But I kind of really got into running when just a friend of the family took me to what is now like a park run. Me and my family were doing like dancing lessons, ballroom dancing lessons on a Saturday morning. And I was like, I saw this herd of people and I was like, I want to do that. So they took me, and then yeah, the rest is history. Just kind of fell into running from there. But no, not naturally gifted at any sports. Always a bit of a misfit at school. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. That's quite a flex, isn't it? Year 5, anchoring the relay team.
Yeah, I mean these kids I looked up to massively. I can still remember their names. I don't know if technically I'm allowed to say their names without their consent or anything, but yeah, Louis Gunnell and Harry Cole. I looked up to them massively. They were insane runners. I don't know if they still run now. I
Yeah.
don't know them, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you went so you've started your running journey from quite a young age. And if you've started by there at 12, let's call it 12, and you're 24 now, have you been running consistently-ish since 12? Has that been your main hobby?
Yeah, well, I was kind of consistently shit for the first 10 years, and then and then kind of consistently improved in the last couple of years. But yeah, I didn't really take any breaks as such. My whole family runs, so it's been pretty easy to maintain that sort of habit. Like park run is an absolute staple in my family's weekly routine. So if nothing else, I would go to park run even when I had kind of big exams at school and stuff. I'd still be doing running and going to my local club on a Tuesday and Thursday night, even though I didn't really know how to train properly, and I'd hammer the first rep and then be an absolute agony for the rest of it. But yeah, it's always been in my life running. Yeah.
Yeah, I done that this morning, found out the hard way doing K reps. Stupid. I still haven't learned.
Yeah, well, I used to go after school, and I probably would have had like maybe a 1.5 litre bottle of Lucozade, maybe a bar of Cadbury's. I'd then go and do, I don't know, say like 200 meter reps, and I'd absolutely hammer the first two of them, and then be like almost like not throwing up because I never really throw up after sessions, but just the rest of the session was very
Yeah.
painful. Good character building, but yeah, not ideal really.
No, it's not.
No, definitely. So when does it become a bit more serious for you? Because it's probably going to be around COVID again, the same for everyone because of your age as well, right? So COVID must have been when you were like 18, 19.
Yeah, exactly. I was 18 through COVID. I went out and did like a bit of running. I'm lucky that I live right next to the woods. So like when we were meant to be out for only an hour, I could pretty much get away with being out for more than an hour because I wouldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But again, didn't really know how to train. I'd go and basically probably run 4 half marathons a week and then kind of just be sat aching in my bed for the rest of the week with DOMs. But yeah, there's no targeted training really. No.
No, absolutely. And then so throughout that, that's just we've got so many of our guests is like that's been the trigger for them. And it's shit or best at that point, isn't it? You either come out the other end and you're a proper runner, or you've gone the other way. So I guess you've come out after those blocks after blocks of half marathon, 4 half marathons a week. You've built a mad base with no one knowing about it because no one's allowed to like communicate and stuff throughout lockdown and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've kind of said previously, but I was never good as a kid, and my
Yeah.
parents would always take me to like training and stuff, but they didn't know how to train either, and I never really had like the help of a proper coach, like kind of guiding me, teaching me what an easy run is or a long run is. No specific help on drills or stretching or anything like that. So it was only once I started to learn that properly that I then managed to almost put this big base that I built over the years to any sort of good use, and that was just through kind of content and YouTube, podcasts, and basically just taught myself how to be a runner essentially. But yeah, no, it's yeah, kind of through COVID. I used to get my ex-girlfriend at the time out for runs, even though she absolutely hated it as well. But yeah.
Yeah, because yesterday I thought, right, I better do some homework. So I listened to the episode you done, the marathon podcast. I got stuck in traffic, luckily enough, because it was quite a long episode. But I learned a lot about you and everything from that. So YouTube and everything, that started after COVID as well and dovetail with putting the work in more again then.
Yeah, exactly. So after COVID, well, during COVID, I took a gap year after school, and that kind of coincided with COVID. So I ended up being on like furlough, which worked out pretty well for me. And then I decided to then go and study to be an osteopath after taking a gap year. And it's in I think it was towards the end of the first year of my 4 year uni course that I decided actually I wanted to start making YouTube content. And I think my ex partner at the time, she found it a little bit cringy, and that might have fed into to why we broke up. But yeah, I carried on, persevered. Get it wrong, got to stay
Yeah.
strong. So yeah, carried on making the YouTube content, and yeah, haven't looked back really. Now I'm absolutely so glad that I kind of the first kind of few months to year of like making content, it's a bit cringy, and you feel like that kind of social anxiety of making content. But now I'm fully glad that I kind of stuck in there with the content. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We probably felt very similar when we dropped our first episode of this podcast, because we're from a small town in Wales as well, and like people will talk and say, "What do they do? Why have they got a podcast?" Probably and stuff like that. And again, we had Emily March, and you might have seen Emily. She went viral recently. She won a play. She podiumed in Brighton on a Hendo. She was on 14 months ago, and then she was on again this week. And it's night and day, like the quality of the episode, the editing, and everything. It's the same as running with the content, and you've just got to put in the reps. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I've thought multiple times about deleting my first few videos, just because if I do watch them back, the cringe is just ridiculous. But ultimately, without those videos, the same with training, like without those first few years of easy,
Yeah.
slow running, and being not as good as a runner, you can't get to kind of the dizzy heights or improve. So it's the same with the content. Yeah, they're cringy, but if I hide them, it's almost like kind of I don't know, deleting parts of
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
almost. So got to leave them up.
Definitely, that's part
yeah,
of the
and it's,
journey, isn't it? Because like you probably know Seth Demore, innit? Like he's one of the first people I found, and like you look at some of his early stuff, it was mad, like more family stuff, and then into the running, like some of his, and he's got thousands up, haven't he? And his journey's unbelievable. Like how better he got in that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Seth was one of the main people that kind of inspired me almost. It was mainly Seth, Ben Felton, and Ben Parks. They're the
Yeah,
trifecta of kind of influencers that kind of triggered me to do it as well. Because I was like, well, if they can do it, why can't
yeah,
I?
yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
well, I thought maybe my story was interesting enough, and then you go through the kind of the peaks and troughs and thinking, oh, maybe I'm actually not interesting enough and things like that. But yeah, I think Seth specifically, yeah, he was a main player in kind of why I got into it, really.
Definitely. And we always like, there's a big difference between content creators in the running world and influencers in the running world. And another thing I enjoyed from the episode I listened, the marathon, I can't remember the name, the guy from Norway was. So
Yeah,
the
Christian.
marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian. And I enjoyed when you said all the brands, obviously, of course they did, right? They all reached out to you immediately after London. And I was really impressed that you said, look, get back to me in a month. Let's see if I'm still flavor of the month then. And it lets you work with the brands that you know. That's why I was so glad that we reached out to you before this podcast, because if I'd reached out to you after London, you'd be like, nah, we're not doing it. So that was like, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, you want to work with those brands. they're going to be authentic, and they want to be there for the lows as well as the highs as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this kind of bleeds into a lot of aspects of my life. I hate it when people kind of they don't want to show support when you're at your lowest, but they want to kind of reap the benefits when you're at your highest. It's the same with the brands. Like if they didn't want to work with me before one performance, it was a good performance, but I don't feel like it's drastically changed me as a person or drastically changed the content, you know. So if there's somebody all interested because just the numbers are a bit higher and I've got this 216 to my name,
Yeah,
like it was me who put the work in for that, so why do they get to reap the rewards, you know? So
Yeah.
the brands that have kind of been there for me over the years, like super happy to work with them, and obviously you're no fools, you understand that there's a money side to a lot of these things, and they continue to get kind of, you know, maybe sweeter deals for them because they supported me when I wasn't so big, and maybe we're getting less out of the deal. So now when I can give them back a little bit more, it's obviously it's nice for me to feel like I can do that. But yeah, exactly, I don't want to just feel like a brand's hopping on because I'm a bit of the flavor of the month or whatever,
yeah,
because obviously for them it's just a business, but for me it's my hobby, it's my passion, and I'm not going to sell my soul for the first brand that comes knocking. So yeah.
yeah. And we could list some of those brands that have dived into your inbox. I'm sure we could, right? But we're not going to dive into those at all.
Couldn't possibly comment.
But that was your marathon debut, right? So after COVID, running up to marathon now, what have you been doing in that period of time?
So sorry, did you say between COVID and the marathon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well, just sort of
since
running
come out
with
before
fives,
COVID.
tens, track. I know
Yeah,
most people
exactly. So
probably know, but let's run through it.
yes. So I mean, predominantly just club running, so kind of yeah, your classic kind of training with a club Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Started to learn a little bit more about what training actually required in terms of the other aspects that feed into it, your easy runs, your S&C, different intensities of sessions, and your long run, things like that. So kind of persevered through uni. So I started uni when I was 19 and kind of finished when I was 23. So through that process, I was still doing like road races, cross country races, a little bit of track racing where possible, but I've never really enjoyed the track as much. But to be honest, I've just never really felt like I was getting what I was putting into the sport. I felt like I was getting up at like 5 o'clock most mornings to get runs in before uni, and then I'd go out for like a second run after uni as well, and just never really felt like I was getting back what I was putting in, which was a bit disheartening. And then I've had kind of like a couple years at uni where I'd kind of struggled with my relationship with food as well. So kind of training and eating disorders don't really go too well hand in hand.
Hmm.
So kind of a few years of trying to figure that out, to little avail really. But yeah, I don't know. It all just started to click as I guess, had one less thing to worry about with the studying once I'd finished my degree, got my master's degree sorted. It was like, oh, actually, things are starting to click a bit. So I don't know if maybe there's some sort of subconscious energy that was then being able to be devoted to running, and that's where the improvement came from. But also just starting to be a little bit more selfish. And I think selfish gets given a lot of kind of bad connotations, but selfish in terms of putting myself first, bit of self love, things like that.
Yeah.
And that seemed to really kind of flow into my running. And then suddenly the sessions were going better. I wasn't training with people I didn't maybe want to train with, so I was starting to enjoy my running more because I was only socializing with runners that I actually genuinely liked, and that were nice to me. So yeah, that's kind of my journey through uni, like a little bit of dabbling with road races and cross country, never really doing anything to any particular high standard, and having periods of kind of not enjoying my running as well, and just kind of, I don't know, ticking the boxes, doing a few runs because I felt like I should probably carry on. And you're in that kind of weird limbo land of kind of, oh, not really enjoying this. I don't want to completely stop in case I change my mind, but also don't really want to go the extra mile at the moment because I'm not really enjoying it. So it's that kind of that limbo land of you need to kind of have the discipline over the motivation, kind of. And that seems to be kind of ever present in my running journey. Just like most people have periods of high motivation, but also then periods of absolutely like rock bottom motivation. So yeah, that's something I went through with uni, and no one else at my uni is quite a small knit uni, so there's only about 70 students on my year in my year, sorry. And none of them ran. So it was like I was a bit of like the weirdo in the year that would get up at 5 o'clock
To
to
run
train. So
through.
yeah, so being the weirdo in the year has kind of been ever present in my school and uni life. So I'm pretty used to it by now.
Yeah, I think a lot of
Yeah.
people struggle like that, don't they, with the downs of running, because like I say, it's a lonely sport, or it can be. You know, you're obviously there for yourself, and but it can be very lonely, and like people like, especially when they plateau or don't see progress or have a big race and then they got nothing to think of. I've known loads of people that like fall off the wagon and stop after a big race, like a London or a big event, and people do stuff over there. Like I say, it can be mentally lonely.
Yeah, so it's a really tricky sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've also got the flip side in terms of you're surrounded by there's always someone that's doing really well at any moment. So like when you're having your down periods, it's almost like really difficult to escape
Yeah.
being suffocated by lots of positive
Yeah,
results
especially
elsewhere. And obviously
nowadays,
you
the
are,
social, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you always want your friends and stuff to do well, of course you do, but sometimes you do need that space to be able to just not be like kind of just take yourself away from it, detach a little bit. So yeah, it's a really tricky sport. Or obviously I haven't really dabbled in too many others, but I imagine it's one of the harder sports from what I can see.
No, it's definitely one of the answers. You haven't got a locker room. You haven't got the changing room.
No.
It's, like I said, it is you against you. And I think with your story, Cole, as well, you're 24, right? Growing up is
Yeah.
tough. And I'm old now. I'm 41. I don't give a shit anymore what anyone thinks. But I remember being 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 and thinking, what do they think? What do they think? What do they think? What do they think? But I feel like this breakthrough in London has tied in with you kind of getting a bit more self-awareness as well. And like you said, moving away and not spending time with people that suck a life out to you, putting yourself in the environments where you're going to thrive. Like you're still only 24. You've got so much running left to do. And it's just all part of the journey as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you've got, I think one thing that I can't remember where I got it from, but it's kind of stuck with me is you've got people that charge your battery and you've got people that drain your battery, and just
Yeah.
kind of trying to surround yourself with people that charge your battery at the end of the day. And that does
Yeah.
mean that quite a lot of the time I do feel like I'm maybe on my own a little bit, typically more than most, because I'm a bit of a lone ranger. I enjoy my own company, but it's because I just find that I think running is obviously a fantastic sport, but there is a large component of running where it's maybe unnecessarily competitive or unnecessarily toxic at times, and those people can sometimes become those kind of those battery drainers. So yeah, it's just nice to yeah, surround yourself with the people that are charging your battery. For it's a little bit of a cringe kind of quote, but I think it works quite well.
No, I read that in a book by Jay Morton. He was SAS, and it was, are you a radiator or are you a drain? And I've always stuck with that as well. And the radiator obviously pumps stuff around, and then the drain is the drain. But so that's always stuck to me. So if it's cringe anyway, fuck them, innit? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
As long as you benefits you, don't worry about it. So we're working up now to marathon debut. Was there an itch you needed to scratch, or was it offered to you? How did that come about? How did you decide about it?
So I'd grown up kind of always watching things like the Olympics and track
Yeah.
racing. So then as soon as I kind of discovered the marathon, and especially like someone like Kipchoge, and then when Mo Farah transitioned to the marathon, I was absolutely fixated on it. I'd get up every weekend if there was a major marathon or a big city marathon, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Stockholm, London, New York, whatever it was, I would get up, pay the subscription to watch it or listen to it. Even if I'd never heard of the runners at the front, I was just absolutely absorbed by the marathon. There's just something about this kind of the historic kind of prestige to the marathon. So I've just been completely kind of absorbed by it, and I'd grown up with my uncle doing it for charity, like Heart Foundation, that sort of thing. And then my dad did it. So about 5 years ago, he did it 3 years in a row. So he did London twice, and then did Manchester when he didn't get into London the third year. No, I'd go and watch, and I was just absolutely in awe of these crowds, and just seeing, especially my dad, obviously a massive inspiration, but just seeing him like absolutely hammer himself from gun to tape over 26 miles, putting in the graft, and also putting in the training as well, like all of that build towards one goal. That was just super inspirational for me. So as soon as I thought I got to an age where it was probably it wasn't going to kind of dent any sort of physical development as I got older, because obviously you can do it too young.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got to kind of 22, I was like, right, that's it. Next year I'm going to be 23. I'm going to do the marathon. 23 is old enough. And then I got an injury that kind of stunted that really. So then I had to postpone it to this year. So now I'm 24. But ultimately, it's probably all kind of worked out perfectly. Obviously, when I was
Yeah.
injured, I had a femoral stress fracture, which is pretty uncommon, and that was kind of coincides with the eating disorder. But at the time, it felt like hell on earth, like what I was going through. But now I look back and go, I would absolutely go through all of that again to experience London Marathon 2025 again if I could, because it was just an absolutely insane day. But yeah, my dad is the primary inspiration for London specifically. But yeah, I've just always been fascinated with the marathon.
You know, because of your job, are you more like aware of these injuries cropping up and everything as well, and you can pinpoint them before they start, kind of thing as well, or
Kind of.
not?
I'm actually really, really lucky in terms of I'm generally really robust. I don't really get too many niggles, don't really get too many injuries. And that one kind of major injury that I did get was purely my own fault. I'd been fixated around this whole premise of you have to be leaner to be faster, you have to be
Right,
lighter to be
yeah.
faster. So I'd kind of almost started starving myself for want of a better phrase, and that ultimately led to negative bone health and overtraining. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm very aware of them, and I can kind of detect, oh, maybe my calf's feeling a bit tight. Oh, I don't want that to develop into anything, and then kind
Yeah.
of rehab it or kind of like recover accordingly. But no, I'm really lucky. That's one of my superpowers is this kind of like training and robustness. I can handle large volumes. I might not be the lightest, I might not be the best looking, but
You're all
yeah, I
right.
can handle. Yeah, thanks, mate. But yeah, I can handle large volume. So yeah.
So let's talk about London. So Nikki was in London as well. You were in London. I was in Manchester. Was I in Manchester with your dad, or he wouldn't have been doing Manchester this year? He was up there cheering you around London, right?
Yeah, so my dad unfortunately has had like double knee surgery, so that kind
Hmm.
of put him out of I think he was meant to do it last year, just and there was no way he was going to be able to do it last year. And then this year I don't think he even entered because he had knee surgery in December and then knee surgery at the start of February. He's had essentially, long story short, essentially, my dad's got bowed legs from having rickets as a kid. So his
Right.
medial meniscus, which are like the force compression pads on the inside of your knee, they've just been absolutely torn to shreds by his biomechanics, essentially, which is nothing he could really control. It's just
Ooh,
a,
yeah.
a bit of misfortune, really. So he had arthroscopies to basically cut out the damaged piece of these menisci, and it's basically meant that it's unlikely he'll ever run a marathon again, just because he's in too much pain. There's too much swelling combined with things like osteoarthritis in his knees. So yeah, he was on spectating duties, but I think he was more than happy to watch me
Yeah.
fly around London.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were in London with me.
Yeah, what a day.
Excellent. It was warm, wasn't it?
It was warm.
It was a warm one. Yeah, it
You
was
didn't
tricky
seem to
to
suffer.
deal with the heat. Yeah, well, I'm fortunate in terms of I do partly work from home, so I spend a lot of my time, so like early mornings, for example, I'll see some patients as an osteopath. And then if I've got a gap, I can get my training in, or if I've got a gap, I've got a sauna blanket. So I'll quite often spend probably at least half an hour a day in the sauna blanket, and I think that definitely contributed to being able to deal with the heat. It's not super super hot. It maybe goes. I think it can go up to 80, but I never have it that hot because I'm a bit of a wuss already. But yeah, like 50 to 60 degrees is more than ample, and it just
Yeah.
felt that yeah, when I was then in the heat, I didn't maybe feel the effects as much.
So what's that? Just like a cocoon?
So it's a bit like a sleeping bag. You just turn on the power pack and you just set it to I don't know 60 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever you want to do, and then you just basically sit in there and you just absolutely sweat one out. It's a bit gross, really, but I do clean because otherwise it could get a little bit unhygienic. But yeah.
Nikki is going straight to Amazon
I
after
am. I'm
this
going to
now,
look
anyway.
for one of them.
This is actually one of the few things I'm actually really happy to promote without any sort of like paid partnerships because it has been I paid my own money for this. There was no request or anything from the brand. It's a company called My High. It's not the best quality in the world. You could
I've
probably get
heard of
better
them. I
ones.
have heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. It was a couple £100. I've used it pretty much every single day for the last 6 months. It's been the best purchase I've made in the last 12 months, hands down. Yeah.
Yeah, who needs
Yeah,
to go to
it's price
Kenya?
per usage, isn't it? Nikki's always banged on. They've gone a bit more expensive now, but trying to sell super shoes to me is like £1 a mile. And if it's £1 a mile, you're like, oh, I'll pay for that. And if you're paying a couple of £100 you're using it every day, then it's, it's
Exactly.
priceless, isn't
£8 a
it?
day,
And
isn't
my
it?
dad started using it now as well, so it's getting even extra use.
Extra use.
Yeah. How was the block for London? Did you
The block
coach
block for
yourself, or
London.
would you call a coach on board, or?
So I don't know if you've heard of Ellis Cross. He's a
Yeah,
professional
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
athlete. So he lives locally. So basically, if I had any questions, I would go to him, and he kind of taught me how to do this kind of double threshold training, or kind of how to utilize it in my training, essentially. But yeah, ultimately, I am self-coached, but I do have some pretty good people to go to ask
Not
questions
bad.
if I've got any questions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's definitely worse people to ask, isn't there? Just the person that beat my Farah. No worries
Yeah.
about that. Um, But yeah, so ultimately self-coached, but and obviously because it's my debut, I didn't really know how long to do a training block, but I had a good base fitness from just winter. So whether you want to call it a 6 month block or whether you want to call it a 12 to 16 week block is up to you. I don't really mind. But kind of the more specific marathon workouts were coming in the last kind of 12 weeks leading into London. And to be honest, apart from a couple of hiccups that weren't even really running related as such. They were more kind of accidents outside of my training. Everything went pretty much as well as possible. The two things that I mentioned there was I was doing my warm up for a race on one occasion, and I got taken out by an electric scooter and absolutely stacked it. So I bashed my knee up and then bashed my hand up.
Whoa.
So yeah, I couldn't run for about 2 days where I just couldn't bend my knee, and then I kind of forced myself through the pain because I was like, it was 2 weeks before London. I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to let this stop me.
It wasn't one of
So
Matt Choi's brothers, was it?
I don't think so. Yeah, unfortunately for my ego, it was I'd say about a 13 to 14-year-old kid. So I mean, it's a bit
You can't even go
embarrassing.
mad on him.
Well, that's the thing. I did say some colourful words, so luckily their parents weren't around. But yeah, on an e-scooter with their phone, they weren't even looking where they were going. So yeah, it's safe to say I was pretty irritated there.
Yeah.
And then the other time, and this is just something that always gets me, always makes me chuckle, is I was doing a pre-race workout. So before every race, I did the same pre-race workout, something to just kind of like stimulate the different energy systems, get the legs moving. But I was doing my pre-race workout, and there was this kind of like crossroad, and I saw a dog, and I saw an owner, but I didn't see the lead that was about 20 meters long in between.
Nightmare then.
So. So I had to kind of steeplechase this almost like semi-invisible lead, and just ever so slightly damaged my Achilles on the landing. So that was a few days of soreness, and then that went away. But yeah, apart from those, which are slightly embarrassing, yeah, no real hiccups really.
And Nicky hates that, don't you? Running on the roads, people getting in the way.
Yeah, it's one of my pet hates. Like people, when there's like 3 or 4 of them on a pavement coming towards them, they don't move over, and you've got to step on the road. Winds me right up, like. So
Maybe we could do a whole
needs to
episode on
save
this.
as well. On cycle pass, people with their dog 40 metres away, and you like say you don't see it, or they wheel it in last second. Idiots.
Yeah, no, I mean we could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
100%.
really ruffles my feathers. Yeah.
So what about the day? How was the day? It was how you seen it go in? Could it like? How does it feel to run that time in London in real time?
So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of visualization. I find it really works well for me. Like, I really kind of unintentionally, really, I'm not even really thinking about doing it, but in the nights before the race, I'm thinking when I go to sleep, like trying to plan out how I'm going to feel at different points. And I think the main thing that I always do is almost envisage myself feeling pretty shit at different parts of the race. So then when I actually get to that part of the race, that's not good. It's like, wow, insane. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if I was being completely honest, like it went far better than I even could have possibly imagined. If I'd kind of if I could go back and change anything, I probably wouldn't change a thing, because some people have said, "Oh, do you think you would have even maybe ran a bit quicker if it was a bit cooler?" But I think actually the heat almost played into my hands a little bit, in terms of I was starting to pass people that I wouldn't expect to pass because they were having negative effects in the heat. So that just drove me on. So maybe I would have run slower if it was a bit cooler. Who knows? But yeah, start to finish, I mean, yeah, there was no. The only tiny thing is maybe because I've taken on so much water in like the last couple of miles, I started to feel like that kind of like water burp sort of feeling.
Yeah.
Like there's no acidity there. It's just that, yeah, exactly. But I mean, if it's only kicking in at mile 24, you're pretty much home and dry at that point anyway. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything. It was the absolute perfect day. My kind of inner circle of loved ones all there. Fantastic weather for afterwards in terms of celebrating. And finish off the day with an Indian takeaway. So, I mean, it can't go much better.
During the race, I've seen the race video and picked some bits and bobs. Did you have a good pack to work with most of the way? Was it like split up early? Because like I know a lot of people had a bad day, didn't it? I wouldn't say bad day, but like I don't think many people can say they hit their A goal on that day. Like we look at the main Brits, Jake, they were a couple of minutes off. I spoke to Jake and he was pissed off with his day, but there's not many people that had good days. So did it get spread out early?
Yeah, so I think if you asked probably everyone at London if they had to say was it a good day or a bad day, like quite polarized, I think more people probably would say they had a
Yeah.
bad day. So I'd probably agree with you there. But in terms of the race itself, I was so nervous about going off too quickly because that's all I'd heard in the weeks prior was, oh, the first 5K is
Quite.
all downhill, don't
Yeah.
go off too quick. So I tried my absolute best not to do that. So I basically went through first 5K pretty conservative, and then every 5K I gradually got quicker essentially. Um, but yeah, I had a good pack for the first, I'd say, 10 to 15K. Then I started to move away from that pack and then started to basically pick off a few packs at a time. But then after about halfway, I was pretty much on my own from
Yeah.
there on. So I basically did a solo half marathon
Mm.
for the last half of the race.
Yeah. Thinking that because it
There
does
was
sort
some
of spread from there naturally anyway, and then like at your obviously front end, I would imagine it probably did get thin. But what did you come 25th overall? Was it?
Yeah, I came 25th overall, yeah. So,
Yeah, there's
but
not
I didn't
many people
overtake.
about.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
overtake anyone for the probably the last 5K. I didn't see a single person,
Right.
so I didn't get overtaken. I didn't overtake anyone.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, the last 5K was a bit weird, especially when you go through the tunnel. I think it's about 3 4K to go.
Yeah.
That was a bit weird. You get that kind of like tinnitus
Yeah.
sensation in your
You
ears where it's like ringing from the silence.
go from mad noise to like nothingness.
Yeah,
That
it's
must be
like
a
you step inside
surreal
a black
5K.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You know no one's catching you. You know you're not catching anyone. You're just out and you're about to. It's almost like it's 25th is podium in a marathon, isn't it? And like it's massive. Like, and you just know you're coasting. You just this 5K beer. You're not chilling, but there's no problem, is it? You just got to keep going. That must be. Connell Whelan would have loved to have done the e-bike by the side of you for that 5K, wouldn't he?
I would have loved to have had a bit of company, especially from Connell, definitely. And I
Yeah.
mean, the content would have been insane as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really weird feeling because it's kind of like there's a bit in the tank. You've got 5K to go, but it's like you don't want to risk blowing up
Blowing up
essentially.
then.
So for the sake of 5 10 seconds, it's better just to kind of cruise it home in fourth gear almost.
Yeah.
Like obviously you're working hard. It's not like I'm not going to pretend like the last 5K of a marathon's a piece of piss because it's absolutely not. But you're playing it as safe as possible, if that makes sense. In terms of it's better to get home, say the last 5K in 16 minutes than to try and get 15:50 and end up running 16:30
Yeah,
because it's just
definitely.
Not worth that risk, definitely.
yeah, exactly. And with the crowds as well, everyone had told me that they didn't like Embankment because it's so long and just feels like it goes on forever. But it felt like I had this like
I was
corridor
going to
to
say that.
myself.
That must have felt amazing.
Yeah.
Because this year along
Yeah.
there, I've done, it was my 5th year London, and like that this year, that was the best along there I've ever. The weather helped, didn't it? But it was crazy along there this year.
Yeah, it was insane, and obviously I'm super privileged in terms of I've got this fantastic community that we've built through YouTube
Yeah.
that I had so many people shouting my name, but also because I had my Tunbridge vest on, even if people didn't know me, they were shouting like "Come on,
Right.
Tunbridge," and
Yeah.
that's just insane. Like you just if proper main character sort of syndrome, just thinking that everyone's there for you when obviously they're not. But yeah,
But it's
if I
class, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
it's
amazing.
fantastic. Yeah. And I mean, if I could relive one moment from the entire race, it would be Tower Bridge, because the person in front of me was so far in front that I couldn't see them, so I had the entire bridge to myself, and I almost like shed a tear going over the bridge because everyone told me how good it was, but I didn't ever expect that I'd be the only one sort of
Yeah.
running past these
Yeah.
people. So yeah, I almost took. I had a small camera, like an Insta360 camera, in my pocket. I almost took it out to film and risked dropping it for the moment, but I was like, nah, this isn't what we came for.
Yeah.
That memory is safely locked up here in my brain. So yeah, just carry it. Focus on the run. Focus on the job at hand. So I left the camera firmly in my pocket.
Yeah. I
I
like
like that too because that's a clip, innit?
Yeah, that is a clip, and probably got loads
You've
of it.
chosen not to get a
But
viral clip.
that day was about
And
the
just
race when
enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I'd say that's actually probably quite a good example of where I would say I'm more of a content creator than an influencer.
Yeah.
Like your classic influencer is definitely getting the camera out there because they're thinking of the clicks and the views.
Yeah.
I want to capture good footage, of course I do, but ultimately a 2:16 is far more valuable to me than a 2:18 with good footage, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. I appreciate that a lot. Excellent. Let's talk about the content then, because that's something else. Again, we've got to put the reps in, and your videos are good as well. And we've had Aubrey on, right, who is the UK king of transitions. His content
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important that you put the effort into the content as well, because I can't stand content that's got a Times New Roman overlay saying easy run. You know, the content's got to be good as well. You're building a brand, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So you're juggling
essentially
that as well, then.
Sorry, carry on.
So you're juggling that as well. That's like it's another. I don't think people appreciate and understand how hard it is to create good visual content on YouTube and Instagram as well. So you've got 2 full-time hobbies.
Yeah, well, I've got obviously,
Well,
yeah,
more. Well, them 2.
yeah. No, I mean, actually, no, that's a very, very well put. Yeah, kind of full-time hobbies. Yeah, exactly. It's the silly things that you don't even think of, like a 2-second clip of me tying my shoelaces. That's probably taken me 30 to 60 seconds to film that 2-second clip just because I've had to adjust the camera 4 different
Yeah.
times to get the
Yeah.
different shots. And obviously, ultimately, if you ask people straight up, do you want to see me tie my shoelaces? They say absolutely not. But if you don't include those sorts of things, suddenly then there's less to pack out the video. It's less of a cinematic kind of something to watch. Basically, there's nothing. It's not a video. It's just me talking
No.
at a camera. So it's the silly things that you don't even realize until you start and try and make actually a piece of content that you go, wow, actually this is actually incredible. Like how much footage gets condensed down into say like an 8 to 10 minute video. There's hours of footage sometimes that just gets
Yeah.
absolutely obliterated because you can only use so much of it because people will switch off. I think Ben Felton taught me a cool little kind of trick a few years ago. Is basically to never use clips that are longer than 7 seconds long unless there's a specific purpose for that clip.
Yeah.
So because otherwise people's attention spans aren't long enough,
No.
essentially. But yeah, no. Just returning to Aubrey, I mean, his content is obviously super clean. He's like cinematic on point for sure. So yeah, I mean, if I could get to that sort of level of content at some point, I'd be buzzing with that. Yeah.
We're not talking to Aubrey because he's moved into our space now. We started a podcast, and I'm only joking. We love Aubrey. Top man, top guy again. But this is what we've spoken about a million times: is people like himself, like you, that are putting the effort into that content side of it. Aubrey's very transparent with what he is. He's never going to run a 2:16 marathon, but he's reaping the rewards of it. But he's putting in the work as well on both sides of the camera. And then, but you've got influencers that are getting clicks because I don't even know why they're getting clicks, but don't get me started on that. Anyway.
Yeah, don't kill that guy.
I know. I'm not ranting. It's a weekend. I leave my rants for Tuesday. Since London, I know you've done track as well, but you've just announced you're taking a little break. Again, leads us back to that self-awareness that you've developed. And you might not have done that previously, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm all about this journey. First and foremost, if I'm learning, if I go into a race the exact same person that I come out of the race, then I failed somewhere. As long as I've learned something along the way, that's the most valuable thing for me. And following London, because I ran so well, I kind of went like head first straight back into training and didn't really take the time to kind of really absorb it, even though people had literally told me that and said, make sure you take the time to absorb this and enjoy it, but you never kind of heed the warning in the moment because you're so kind of caught up in the whole experience. So I kind of went head first straight back into training on this massive high, thinking, right, 2:16 marathon, right, let's go smash something else. What's next? What's next? And now, kind of 4 or 5 weeks post marathon, it's all kind of caught up on me a little bit that I didn't take that time because looking back at it now, I put months of energy and focus into London Marathon. So to kind of carry on like nothing's happened almost is obviously not a sensible decision, but just mentally, I feel a little bit fatigued in terms of running. I absolutely love running. It's obviously my massive hobby and it's a massive passion of mine. But the last kind of few days, I started to wake up and think, oh, like fuck, I've got to go for a run.
Yeah.
Like
That's my life
when.
every day.
But I remember watching. I'm sure you probably watched it, Alex Yee's series on YouTube, and one thing that really stuck with me was he got asked, "Will he ever be happy?" And that kind of really hit home because I was like, like that's nuts
Yeah.
actually thinking about it. Like, when do you ever actually stop? Because even when you kind of get to an age where maybe your body starts to slow down and you can't hit the heights that you were hitting when you were a bit younger, so you just change the goalpost. You suddenly go, right, what can I run as a
Yeah.
vet 40 or a vet 50 or a vet 60 or whatever? And it's like, when do you actually just sit back take in what you've done. So that's what I want to do now, and I should have done that 4 weeks ago, because it's now kind of all caught up with me, spinning one too many plates with work and trying to make my content a little bit better, and trying to force myself to socialize a little bit more, because I do feel like I do kind of just shut myself off from the rest of the world. And then like things like I've got a family holiday coming up, and everything's just starting to kind of pile on. I feel like I work 7 days flat out a week at the moment,
Yeah, I can
combined with
imagine.
the training. So
I can imagine you're flat out, like, and you do need to take a break away, and you'll come back better at everything.
yeah, exactly. That's the plan. And I've made this mistake in the past where I haven't taken the time for myself, and it's led to, like, say for example, like now I've decided I'm going to have 2 to 3 weeks easy chill running, almost right off June. Like I'm going to carry on running.
Watch
I'm
off.
probably not. Yeah, I'm probably not going to do any hard sessions. Like today, I went for a long bike ride because I just really wanted to
Yeah,
just go out and
that's
just
like do
ride
it.
my
Yeah,
bike. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm going to have 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks of kind of reduced intensity, just kind of separate myself from the sport a little bit. But in the past, I've made the mistake of not picking up on these signs, and then I've needed, say, 12 weeks out from the sport
yeah,
because I didn't read the signs. So yeah, just trying to learn from my mistakes and yeah, be a little bit more kind to myself. I think that's the main thing that I struggle with sometimes. So
yeah.
yeah,
Refresh, reboot, go again.
exactly
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Do we know what we're going again for this year, or is it under wraps, or any other
Yeah,
plans
no.
for the
So
remainder of the year out?
So in terms of my plan was to do track season and hit track season pretty hard, but I did a track race last Friday, and it kind of hit home to me that I just do not have the same passion for track running as I do for road and cross country running. And I think that's kind of what kind of kick-started this cascade of kind of feeling like I'm maybe a little bit burnt out. It was like I was like, oh, shit, I've got another 3 months of like doing this part
Track.
of the
Yeah,
sport that I don't enjoy too much.
Mm.
And it's too hot to kind of do the same sort of training that I would typically do. So more kind of looking more towards winter. So I'm going to build back towards, I'm doing the big half in September and then the Copenhagen half in September as well. So that will kind of be just see where the fitness is at, almost like the start of the marathon block almost. And then I'll have a week, like a down week after that because I'm on holiday. And then that will give me about 12 weeks leading into Valencia Marathon in
nice.
December. So I'm still going to do the domestic scene, so cross country races, road races, because that's what I love first and foremost. Is it's just kind of doing races that I grew up doing. Just because I've kind of, I don't know, reached a certain level in the marathon doesn't mean I need to
Yeah,
just
not
throw the
Yeah,
baby out with the bathwater and stop
Mm.
everything that kind of got me to this place, you know. So yeah, but Valencia Marathon is the big goal. That's the A goal.
Love it.
Nick, you were getting Valencia 4 more this week now, I know.
Yeah, because Emily in the week she's doing it as well. She's been lucky to get elite women's place, hasn't she? So yeah, a great race it is. I've done it twice, and that's fast. Let me tell you, that's a fast race.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm fortunate that I've got an elite place as well.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, well, it's fortunate because otherwise I would have still been like 16,000th in the waiting list or something.
Crazy, innit? Ain't it mad
But
how
they're
quick
all
races
just,
sell out?
you're lucky, yeah.
Ain't mad.
I'm in the hands of the gods for London next year. You'll be there with the bloody staff and throne. Excellent.
Well, if you need any donations, you just let me know. I listened to your podcast where you said about the kind of like the free photography and
photography, yeah.
and calling in some
Yeah.
donations in. Like, just let me know, and yeah, I'll donate for sure.
You're a top man. Well, I really enjoyed that. Nick, we'll take a quick break because we've got a couple of questions that Nicky does, a couple of favourites. But anything to wrap this part up, Nick?
No, that was good. Nice to whiz through and good to hear his views. And it's nice to hear people just be like, you're a normal runner, a normal guy like us, but even running a 2:16 runner, everyone has lows. You know, people out there that listen to us, and I've said it before, after some big races, I have massive lows. It's nice to know we all have it, innit? I'm sure the elites do as well. Like, say, Alexi saying,
Yeah.
when do you stop?
Well, Jake's tamping, isn't
Yeah,
he?
Jake Smith. I spoke to him after London. You know, he was disappointed. But I was seeing him this week. Oh, he's fucking nailing sessions with Ines and doing mad stuff, Jake. Already the mad man.
Crazy. Top. But like I said, you said about the running community being toxic, and it can be toxic, but we've been so lucky to like meet some, what's the opposite of toxic? Not toxic people through this podcast. And there is really good people in the community. And when you get into the right part of the community, it's just the most supportive community you can come across, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just to kind of reiterate, like I've definitely fed into that kind of toxicity in the
Oh
past
yeah,
as
I
well.
slag people off on behind their back all the time like, as well, you know. But
Yeah.
it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just I think well, I definitely fell into the trap of almost kind of like judging runners based on their times previously. And that's something that then when it was kind of flip sided onto me when I've maybe not been so good in the past is then
Mm.
I've felt crappy about myself. So it's just things like that in the running community. Obviously, there's a massive positive, and the positive in the running community far outweighs any
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah,
negativity.
absolutely.
But yeah, there is definitely like sometimes there's a toxic side to the sport, which is not so nice when you're in a bit of a hole. But yeah.
There we are. Right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be straight back because Nikki's got a shootout for a fundraiser for OPR to raise money for castles.
No.
So we'll be right back. All right, boys and girls, this episode is supported by Racked. Are you looking to gear up your club with some custom high quality kit? Whether it's socks, t-shirts, vests, tri-suits or bike apparel, Racked has got you covered. With Racked, you can create fully custom kit for your club, designed just the way you want them. The bespoke in-house design service allows you to bring your ideas to life. Whether you're a running club, a cycling club or a triathlon club. And it's not just about style either. Rack delivers high performance gear, perfect for all your training and racing needs. Ready to get started? Drop them an email on info@racked.online and kick off your custom design today. Welcome back. Right, let's wrap this up with Cole. Nick, what have we got for this or that this week?
Favourites, we're going to go favourites.
Oh yeah,
we've changed it.
that's still in season one.
Favourite. Right, so just a few favourites. Called favourite distance.
Oh, marathon.
It has to be now, surely. Favourite shoe?
I do really like the Evo SL from Adidas.
Yeah, that's the training one, isn't it? That's like looks a bit
If
like.
I could pick any shoe from history,
Yeah.
the Nike Pegasus 32. For some reason, I loved that shoe back in the day, and yeah, you can't get it anymore. So fuming.
One
But
of my favourites would have been the Peg 35 Turbo. I think it was the original Turbo. Like, I hadn't long started getting into marathons then, and like I bought about 3 or 4 pairs. They were one of the best shoes ever. But again, you
yeah,
can't
well,
make
I had a
that anymore.
I had the Mo Farah colorway of the Peg
Okay.
34s though, like red and gold,
Yeah.
and that was a shoe I absolutely treasured. Even though obviously Mo Farah's it is questionable past at the moment, but yeah, no, I absolutely love the shoe.
Yeah, we don't want to go there. We'll get kicked off Spotify or whatever we're on. Favourite race?
Oh, I love the marathon. I mean, that's just yeah.
I have to ask you. This is going to be one because I've seen your video today. Favourite rice pudding?
Oh, Tesco's own rice pudding. Don't go for the cheap stuff. Go for the like kind of like middle range working class rice pudding.
Yeah, I got onto. I think it was Matt Rees, the Welsh runner, got me onto rice pudding a year or so ago because he does like a deep dive into like all stats and the carbs, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. And now it's my pre-race meal now. I fucking love it. Right, and last one, a bucket list race.
Oh, that's a good one. I think one day I would absolutely love. It's so tricky. Which one do I say? The Barkley marathons, I reckon.
Oh, class.
You two are the same person. You should just go out. You'd have a great time together. Just eat rice pudding and talk about Barkley marathons.
And I love Hardlines coffee, and he's got the t-shirt.
I have, yeah. They give us a couple of t-shirts and coffee.
In an episode last year, yeah. And we had Nathan Canning. Everyone is quite big in the running community, isn't it? Because we had Nathan Canning on recently, and one of the mad things he done, he ran from his house in Oxford to Hardlines in Cardiff
because he liked the coffee.
Yeah,
coffee. Man.
Right then, Cole. We need one song. Do you listen to music when you're training?
I'm going to be honest, this is probably a horrible answer to this. I'm the least music-oriented person you've ever met. Like, if you said, "Oh, have you heard this song by such and such?" It could be a massive hit globally. I've probably not heard of it.
Think about that, like Tower Bridge on your own. What's the soundtrack for that? If we've got a drone flying over you, you're running along Tower Bridge on your own, or we're just hearing the sound of your heart pumping and the crowd.
So, I mean, I always listen to podcasts. I'm a podcast person through and through. Like, if I'm on a plane to like a holiday, I'm listening to a podcast. If I'm out for a long run, I'm listening to a podcast. I don't listen to podcasts where I've been the guest because I think that's maybe a bit too much. But one song, crikey, what's one song that I would play? Oh, um, I don't know. I
Look,
really
it's skipping
like
it because the next question's harder.
nah, High Hopes by Pink Floyd. That's a song that me and my dad absolutely love.
Well, we
And
take you.
the instrumental bit when he's playing it when the guitar's being played at the end. Oh, I just absolutely love that. So yeah, they're probably that bit.
Nice
Oh,
pick.
cool. And we've only just sprung a song called in the break, right? But who would play you in a movie of your life, Cole?
I'm gonna be honest, no one specifically springs to mind, but throughout uni, and some people are gonna be like, "What? This is definitely a lie," but it was 100% the truth. I had a few strangers tell me that I looked similar to Theo James, which I don't personally see,
Theo
but
James from The Gentleman.
from The Gentleman, from Divergent, yeah. I mean, I don't see the
Dream Cheaters
resemblance.
movie. Yeah. I don't know. We'll take
So
it. It's
yeah,
up to you. It's
Yeah.
your life. It's your movie.
yeah, let's do him, but I'd need to work on
Nicky
my
picked
abs a little
Wesley
bit
Snipes.
first.
No, he never. Right. Nicky's got to get out. Call is Saturday, so you probably need to get into your sauna blanket anyway. So thank you so much for giving us some time. We know your podcast out. Have a lovely couple of weeks rest now. And let's see what we can do in these halves and look forward to Valencia for you then as well. Nick, anything?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, Cole, cheers for your time. Really appreciate it. And it was classy in your London after, obviously, I was racing it, so I didn't know till later, but that was an amazing performance. And yeah, good luck with the halves and go smash Valencia. Cheers for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries.
Nick, do you want to wrap it up?
No, yeah, that's it. Sorry, that's it. And we'll see you on
No,
start
you don't.
line somewhere soon. I forgot then. My outline.
Thank you very much.